they're salt of the earth.
I love people who, even in the, like, I'm a huge Pee Wee Herman fan. Like, I love people who, even the weirdest thing they do, if they take it seriously, then I'm going to take them seriously.
When people are excited about what they do, Matt, will you hit that light on this TV?
You know what I mean, though? You know, it's like, you know, if a guy grows his beard out and he's Santa Claus every year, why am I going to diss him for that?
If somebody's excited about what they do, no, turn the app on the television off. Because Alexa doesn't. When you watch somebody else who's genuinely stoked on what they do,
this is how the interview should start.
It is. That's how I'm gonna cut right in. But when you're watching somebody who's actually stoked about what they do,
yeah,
it's easier to be stoked for them.
Yeah. Well, you know, I learned this a long time ago because I've been being on stage for more than half my life, and for a long time I leaned on having like 2 beers in my hand, and I was like, well, maybe it's kind of borderline performance art, and I was like, well, if you don't like it, it's because you don't like that I have drinks in my hand. And then one day I was like, I'm selling myself short. I've become a good writer. I've become a good singer. I don't care if I do drugs or drink. This isn't on. You know, like, I'll do it behind the drums or backstage. I do not need to do it on stage. Let me perform.
Right.
And then if someone doesn't like it, it's their prerogative. They just don't like it.
Now, you didn't give them an excuse of why they didn't like it.
Exactly. That's exactly it.
Let me know when you're ready.
We're rolling.
All right.
Yeah. So yeah, do you agree the same thing?
Yeah. If you are performing, or you're trying to achieve something and execute something, and you're putting 100% into it, and you're dead serious about that art or that performance, whether it's for me or not, I have nothing but respect for you.
People like Captain and Maybell, or Kelly, or even you for that matter. Like I said, as long as I'm watching somebody who's stoked on what they're doing, it gets me giddy, and I'm I'm all about it. It makes me want to go and I want to see that shine more.
Same here.
That's like I said, we were saying before we got on the air, with you sharing everything.
Oh man!
And just pumping all your friends, and always it's the coolest thing, and it gets me stoked even more. It's kind of like growing up as a skateboarder.
Same here.
There's a camaraderie and a push that comes from everybody. Nobody gets really jealous that the other kid's better than you. You're stoked for him or her, and it pushes you to want to do better.
Without a doubt.
There's not an animosity that's created. It's just that's the only way I can get that push. I love seeing all my friends be stoked on each other, stoked on what they're doing.
Yeah, I've always felt like skateboarding and anything rebellious. BMX riding, punk rock for sure, heavy metal music, any rebellious music. I've always felt that that's hands down the greatest fraternity in the world.
Did you skate and stuff growing up?
I skated as a kid, but I was horrible. But I have so many friends that are wonderful and great at it. And again, I'm just so excited to share their clips and their shots and films and videos. And same with music, And the thing is, I actually don't share everybody. I really must either love the people or love the music. And then I share it. I mean, it seems like I share a lot. Yeah. But reality is I've been so lucky.
You got a lot of talented friends.
Got a lot of wonderful friends, a lot of talented friends. And then some people I have become just huge fans of, and that's another wonderful aspect of it. And I've shared it because I want, you hear something great, and you want to share it with people, And the great thing about that we were talking about earlier is and then sometimes you're lucky and you become now you're not a fan and you become friends with those people.
Right.
And there are artists that I've been fans of over the years that I feel so fortunate now I could call them friends.
It's weird. That's always the weirdest thing for me, though, is those situations that so far this career has afforded me to have met some of my heroes and do things and starting to be friends with them. It's an awkward transition of even mentally being like, oh my God, I look up to this cat so much. This is cool. Don't be weird. Don't be weird. And then you find yourself hours and days and time spent with each other, and the respect you have doesn't go away.
It's amazing.
But the coolness goes. It's weird, but you also still always want to even double check yourself and be like, is this real?
Oh,
we're past that point where it's that with these friends, but it's just you still have to. How did I get here? This is
and the thing is, and there's still that ginormous amount of respect, so you don't want to has to like overstep a line.
Oh, exactly.
That's talking about them too much. Talk about what they do too
and
much.
how much you still love the reason that you were there in the first place. That's always like that doesn't fade away, but it's just
I loved Robert De Niro as a kid. He does nothing for me now. But at like, 10, 12, 14 years old, I mean, him looking sick with his hair slicked back in Cape Fear and Goodfellas. I mean, he was the most punk dude ever.
Right.
Just insane. And I've never have met him. I've been lucky enough to meet people that I've looked up to over the years. Don't even care to meet him now. But I just remember being smart enough at like 12, 13 years old in my brain saying if I ever met him, I would just be like, thanks for doing what you do and walk away.
Play it cool.
Because there's no way he's going to remember me in a good way if I just annoy the shit out of him. You know what I mean?
I don't know. You could go the Steve-O route. Like Steve-O, you ever heard how he met people when he was a kid?
Oh, yeah.
Like the Motley Crue story.
I love that story.
Oh, have you ever heard that story?
Yeah, that's amazing.
No.
Steve-O's maybe 12 years old, huge Motley Crue fan, finds out they're in his hometown.
Yeah.
Smartens up, says, I want to get in touch with them. They're here. They got to be in a hotel. How can I do that? Let me call every hotel in the city and ask for Motley Crue. But obviously, they're not going to be under Motley Crue.
Right.
What's their manager's name? He goes and grabs the back of a CD and starts looking in the liner notes and realizes Doc McGee's their manager and starts calling every hotel asking for Doc McGee, a room under Doc McGee. And he got him.
He got him, and he hung out with him, had a legendary night with him. He talks about it in a few interviews while he's interviewing people. Sometimes the interview changes and they're asking him, tell me about this.
Yeah, because it's such a legendary story for like a 12, 13-year-old kid. But that's the whole point. Sometimes you do got to go out there and just shake my fucking hand, man.
Well, I mean, that's the other thing. He's a really smart guy. Just because he's crazy doesn't mean he's dumb. I've seen interviews with him. I'm a huge fan of his. And he's an interesting guy. He's a smart guy. And he was resourceful.
He's been through a lot. And when you hear him tell his story, he's been around a lot of influential people and smart people. Even the jackass world is a bunch of jackasses, but those guys. They're all fucking very smart, very savvy with where they're coming from.
Smart, funny.
I was getting Big Brother magazine when I was a kid. Like I was the demo that they were making it for. Wink, wink. That they weren't making it for. I was that age.
You thought they were making it for you, which is what you.
Well, in hindsight, they were, but they weren't supposed to be. That was kind of. It was like they were. This is as good as selling cigarettes. No, we're not selling these to kids.
No. But now I'm a huge fan. I'm a huge fan of any and all that is like left or even right of what is like center or in the middle, Yeah. Like my friend, you guys probably know Rodney Leet, he does comedy Monday nights at the Star Bar. Legendary Atlanta guy. I used to sing for like punk and oi bands back in the day, and then he got into comedy. And he's just really awesome, funny guy. But I use this all the time when I do interviews, and I quote him. So it's because I was Rodney. But he says, I don't care if it's Merle Haggard, the Sex Pistols, Public Enemy, NWA, or Slayer. If it's from the gutter and from the street, it's punk. And I've always had that, mentality. And that's my view when it comes to like art and film and what you're doing, which is great. Everything you're doing, interviews, comedy, music, writing. Like, man, everyone's had enough of easy, simple, cookie cutter stuff. Like.
Right. No,
dive down deep.
Trying to be out of the box and get that nitty gritty shit. Exactly.
Yeah, dive down deep inside, and if you look for it, I'm sure you can pull out something really interesting and be an individual. Don't be like everyone else.
Well, that's the hardest part that I feel sometimes is trying to be that individual while also moving forward and doing stuff. It's.
Well,
if you're not second guessing yourself,
that's the thing.
I don't know anything other than that. That's what people ask me all the time. Sid, man, this is so cool. You're doing all that. I'm like, don't act like don't. Let me not fake you out and think I know what the fuck I'm doing.
Well, that's the other thing. It's like if you're trying too hard for that, then maybe that's not what you should be doing either. It needs to be organic. And make mistakes, do things trial and error.
That's what it's all about. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. We just roll with it because we like this, and just it's fun. So, but it's not a matter of coming from a place like, oh yeah, watch me, watch this,
right.
Watch me perform this task perfect for you. Watch this venture go exactly like I want it to. It never comes from that place. It's just like, hey, wouldn't that be cool? let's try that. And then
Right.
lucky enough to have cool friends and people that are like, oh yeah, well try this with it, or can I help? Can I help with this?
Yeah, I don't know who said it. Oh man, now it was an old country guy, so we'll just say maybe it was Johnny Cash, whatever. But he was like, you're gonna write a lot of bad songs, so you might as well start now. Like, try it now. So it's like with your TV show, with your comedy, whatever. I mean, some people ask me about records that I've done or that I've been part of, or songs that I've written, and like, man, I actually feel like, to be honest with you, I went to sleep and I dreamed and my heart was hurt a little bit. The rest happened organically. Like, you know what I mean? Like the best ones, I think, write themselves. You know what I mean?
You're not really. Exactly. There's so many ways you can sum it. The best ones write themselves. You don't even feel it just happens sometimes. It's when you're not paying attention.
Yeah.
It's whenever some of the best shit happens.
And the things you wrestle, whether it's you trying to do a TV show or put out a song or a film, which I can't imagine, like a 4-minute song sometimes is rough. Imagine trying to put together a 2-hour piece of art. Forget about it. But like the things you wrestle, if you're wrestling with it, maybe you need to put it away for a while, and then like come back, and it might just happen like that. You know?
Right. Sometimes when you force it, that's when you just get these turd sandwiches out there.
Exactly. Yeah.
But going back to, like you said, you got to do stuff. There's movers and shakers and people out there that are trying things, and not everything's going to be a hit.
No.
But so pretty much 1 out of every 10 things you do might be good. So get started now.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's a really good point.
And just do things for the sake of doing things. Not everything's even, we don't go into every venture thinking this is going to be the $1 million thing.
Oh
Sometimes it's just, this is just cool, man. Let's do it,
Yeah,
and that's always the most rewarding too.
It is, and it's very honest. It's like very almost the most primitive way to go about it, because like if you're going into it for the wrong reasons anyway, who wins like that? No one I know,
Yeah.
So it just feels good to be like a spoke in a great wheel of art, and being part of like you guys, community, and vice versa. You're part of ours. And that's what also goes back to, like, if I have a little bit of a platform and I can share what a friend is doing, man, like, that's like the easiest thing in the world to do. Like, you know what I mean?
You said it. That's it. It's that easy to do it nowadays. But the shame that comes around with it, though, is, and I'm sure you see it because you have your own things that you try to promote. You're pushing your friends. Oh, nothing pisses you off more than putting out a friend's new music video that they've just released, and it going out and like 2 or 3 people engaging on it, and then putting a picture of a koala bear fucking a kitten, and it just goddamn goes crazy. Everybody loves it. They just love it. Can't get enough. Can't get it. Everybody else shares it. Everybody engages.
Yeah. No, it makes no sense.
It's like, but my friend's art here I just showed you and shared with you. He poured his heart and soul out here, and this stuff is great. It really is good.
Yeah.
You didn't even care to people aren't even they're not searching for it.
Right, yeah. Well, that, I hate to say, we'll probably never understand. And that's why our, even though like our community in many ways grows, it also almost seems to stay the same size because we keep only the good ones that count.
That's right. Yeah. There's something I was missing that I was thinking of to myself the other day, and it's when kids and folks would go to the record stores back in the day, you'd flip through, and you'd see that cover, and you didn't even know what, and you could imagine what it sounded like from that. Just that.
Oh yeah.
That tradition going through that thing just doesn't exist. There needs to be something that's reminiscent of that, because like Spotify doesn't really even have that to where you can it's just music funneling at you that you discover. But to be able to discover from these artworks and these pieces and not even knowing, is this hip hop, is this metal, is this country?
If I saw like a Suicidal Tendencies record that maybe I'd never seen before, or like the band like The Cult, who I still am a huge fan of, like you kind of can almost hear a guitar riff looking at it, and then you flip the back and you see the thank you list, or like the people that label, let's say like a DC label like Discord or whatever, you see what people put out, you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah, or you look
I want to check out Filth. I want to check out this. Do you know what I mean?
You see Iggy Pop on the cover, and you look at it and you're like, you can hear that nastiness, or it's or like a old Elton John or a Janis Joplin record.
Yeah,
with her in the red lights from fucking Woodstock.
You can smell it.
You can smell it, and you can feel the hurt.
You can smell that room is filthy.
Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
And you can just tell that woman's hurting, and it's like, man, this is gonna be something good right here.
Yeah, yeah.
But that experience of just setting your eyes on that and that imagination running wild before the true introduction,
right,
doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, that's really sad. And we also love things that are like tangible, whether it is holding a skateboard or holding like a Glennie Friedman like "Fuck You Heroes" book with 8x10 skater pictures, or Ice-T like pictures of rappers, or like Dead Kennedys or whatever, but like holding something tangible, or holding, like you said, that record, and then pulling it up and checking out the sleeve. And man,
smelling that ink in the light.
I always thought he said, "I'm not the spoiled type," but he says the lyric is, "I'm not the sporting type," or whatever. Like, and you're like, "Wait a minute, now
that changes everything."
Yeah, now I'm hearing the song differently. I kind of like the way I wrote it, but that's cool.
Yeah,
and then you kind of like you go with it, So
that's been one of my favorite things. I remember Jonathan Davis from Korn one time seeing an interview where he said, I don't write the liner notes and don't ever release our lyrics because of that reason. As a kid, he used to be so bummed whenever he would realize he had been singing the wrong lyrics. And he said, and then the song meant something different to him. And he said it would hurt whenever this song had meant so much to me for a year, a month, whatever it may be. But forever. And now you're learning that it's not even that. He's like, so I don't ever want to do that to people. This song, it means whatever it means to you, bro. And I'm going to leave it at that.
That's a good point. He seems like a pretty down to earth guy, so
Yeah, and I always thought that was pretty cool. But then again, I always like reading, seeing the real handwritten liner notes, and when people are writing in secondhand or writing third person, just crazy tricks,
like
and
seeing a line crossed out and then what was rewritten, and it sounds so much better.
Yes. I always, whenever I was writing, and like you said, going back and seeing other people's writing process, and like you said, revealing that as you see those second guesses, but catch a phrase, different innuendos and things. I always had fun writing with that. There was a song we wrote in the early 2000s that was based off of a spoken word tale my grandmother had told me my whole life.
Yeah, beautiful.
And it was you've probably may or may not have heard about one Sunday morning about midnight. Two dead boys arose to fight. Back to back, they faced each other, pulled their swords, and shot each other. Wow. Two deaf policemen heard the noise. They came and killed the two dead boys. If you don't believe my story is true, ask the blind man. He saw it too.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So I had heard it my whole life, and I got a little older, and just tried to do some research on it, couldn't find anything. The only thing I could find was that it was a spoken word tale from some poet named Lawrence Ferlinghetti. I can remember all this, and he never
I've heard of Lawrence Ferlinghetti.
He never put it down, but it was just one that he spoke out in at events and different things, and we wrote it into a song. And having those, that was always fun to me.
I love that. Play on words.
Play on words.
Play on history.
We have a song, "Arrival of the Fittest." It's a survival of the fittest. No, this is the arrival of the fittest.
Oh yeah. It's, when things are comfortable and seem like it's something you've heard your whole life, that first time hearing that song, if those like the play on words remind you of it, you may have an instant connection. Yeah, and that's really wonderful.
Yeah, there's something I've always had, and that's what my closest friends and everybody love. I make everybody laugh because of just the Southern "damned if you do, damned if you don't" innuendos and sayings that I have all the time. How you hanging in it? Hanging like a hair in a biscuit.
I love hair in a biscuit. Yeah, I learned a bunch of new good sayings this week.
I can't wait to see you try them out.
Well, one of them that someone was being really negative around us at a meeting a few days ago, and I don't know, just from us hanging out, you can tell I'm a pretty positive person. I think that life can suck, but I just choose not to let it suck for me. So I try to choose awesome and be positive. But anyway, this guy was just being really negative, and some guy in the group goes, "You must be an elevator operator. You must be an elevator operator because you're always bringing us down." I was like, That's a good one. I'll take it. Yeah.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Okay, the other one was if you're planning on drinking all day, you got to start early in the morning.
Yes.
I'm like, man, these important things are really going to get me through the year.
That is good advice. Yeah. You ever do any long-term drinking on the road when you're ever like performing and stuff?
I used to.
And you drink and perform good?
I can. I don't know if I'm good, but I can. I try not to do any of that anymore. Getting older, trying to take better care of myself. I still have some weaknesses and weak spots and demons, but I think I got most of them in control. I've learned to not fight them, but like dance with them, embrace them, and be honest with them, and say, "Yo, if you get me through the next few days, I'll be good."
That's the worst part for me because any performer in front, man, I haven't met a one yet that's like, no, I hate a couple drinks before I go on stage.
Well, for me, a lot of it is just insecurity.
But that's exactly what we're frontmen. Whether you want to admit it or not.
Even though I write a lot of music for the bands that I play with, I write it poorly on a piano and then give it to people who are great at executing it. And a lot of times that's why in the beginning I did have a drink in my hands because I wasn't holding the guitar. And it was just me being like, man, do I look stupid up here? So let me at least jump around with a gin and tonic. With
tambourine in one hand.
Yeah, it's much better these days,
The writing and getting on stage and it would be... I have such an admiration for writers like you compared to the generation I grew up in writing these I'm mad heavy metal songs.
Right.
That's all I ever had. An avenue to do, and then as I got older, the songs started getting more sophisticated. But then it gets beat down. It's hard to get out of that box when you are writing heavy metal.
Yeah, it is, and I like a lot of I'm mad heavy metal songs. I like all kinds of music, One. Just maybe you just got to go back more and listen to poems your grandmother told you.
I think you're right.
I just love people who talk about, let down that one guard and just be honest about things and just talk about, they're hurt or it could be that they're angry, but for a good reason or the pain or whatever, and tell a story with it.
Well, I always tried with our band Legion X, and I unsuccessfully to acknowledge the fact that heavy metal is angry. It even says so. Let's not be angry. And I remember in the early 2000s, the band Kill Switch Engage released in second or third album, the End of All Heartache album. It's a love album, probably 10 to 14 tracks. Every one of them is solid as shit, and it's a love album. As heavy as it is, it has these beautiful parts, these heavy parts. They toured that album with Slayer and got encores, and they took the album out with My Chemical Romance and got on. It was such a diverse album. So I was like, it can be done. Let's try to figure out how to not do that. And then I always would think about Jamie's Cry and Van Halen. It's fucking rumba. So happy, but then the saddest of lyrics. So do the same thing. Let's flip it around. Let's try to do something happy, or try to touch into love. Love never forget, and just unsuccessful. It's a harder dance to do. And
it's a really pretty juxtaposition, and people have done it. As much as Motorhead sounds like they're angry, like a lot of those songs sound like love songs to me.
Well, just Lemmy's got such a Motown.
Yeah, he's got such a way about melody and hook and delivery. Yeah.
And just original rock and roll structure.
Exactly.
But
meanwhile, it's like chainsaws. So that's that beautiful dichotomy, and so I think people should listen to you and try to do that more. 2021, let's get some more fast chainsaw love songs.
Spirit Horse, we're calling you out.
That's it, man.
We're calling you out. I'm curious to see all the new shit we are going to get in 2021 because all the idle time people have had, and I have so many creative friends that have been just working their minds to death, pacing the floors and just doing stuff, and artists that have so many ideas in the tank and so many projects that are halfway through that I'm just eager to see come to life.
And think about the first time you get to really play in front of people, or think about you bring a date, and that first show you get to go to, we were in a crowd, and you just like, I mean, I just can't imagine the emotions that you're going to have.
I think I'm not alone in this. Everybody's looking back with nostalgia at just last year. Or what it was like to go to shows, to go to bars, stand next to your best friend, throw your arm around them, it's drinking, having some drinks, and just in and out. And just because now you watch television of movies that were made in the 80s, and you're like, there's a lot of people standing really close to each other.
Right.
There's a lot.
Wear the mask.
You're noticing it and just in everyday stuff, and you're like, and then. But for me, as soon as I realize I'm noticing it, even with older movies or anything, I immediately just go, "Oh man, this is really a bummer."
I was that way from like 2001 or 2 to like 2008 because I grew up in New York, and every old movie I saw, we saw the Twin Towers in the background. I just like look at my mom or my father and just be like, "Man, it's really sad." Those two things are on there, and it's very similar. You know, it's just like. Because there's a time that'll never really be, you know. We can't wait to the next stage, and hopefully we have these shows again. We don't know if it's going to be how it was, you know.
No, and that's the thing is like in the booking world, people keep asking me, and I keep seeing people that know better than I even postponing and pulling dates and. We're gonna postpone this one again, and it's just like, oh man, you start getting a little bit of benefit of that, like hoping, like, okay, are we getting closer? And then this it rolls again, and you're like, you don't know. So you're definitely hitting on something there. I think the people are starving from it because the scene that we live in, and the friends and fans and people that attend my shows and stuff. They are starving. They're wanting. I've had people almost beg, like, just come on, dude. I'll help.
We'll try to do something.
Let's do a parking lot show somewhere, whatever. And they.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I was in town. I'm in town probably most of this year, which has been wonderful. And Atlanta has always been so good to me, and I'm loving it. And I was in East Atlanta like a few weeks ago, and I bumped into Will Fiore, who was a doll, you know, Rob Thunder and Zoroaster. He's an old friend of mine, and we were just catching up. And we're just like two guys on a corner, two old bearded guys on a corner, drinking a beer. And he gave me a cool old Zoroaster hoodie that I'm rocking, and this guy is playing an acoustic guitar, like on the street. And we're just chatting. And next thing you know, it's like I look at Will, I go, Will, you okay? And he's like straight up, like tear coming down. He's like, actually, I got chills, man. I haven't seen a show of any sort in 9 months, and this guy is making me cry. So we wound up hanging out with the dude. He wound up being Johnny Knoxville's uncle. Like, he's from Chattanooga, Tennessee. He was playing like on the street. Like, you know, he's like started telling us these stories, and next thing you know, it's 3 old men with masks on having a beer, kind of like teary and like really like all of us emoting. You know, it's something amazing.
That performers and people that comedians, musicians, hanger-oners. Everybody's
every climber there is.
Every climber in that world is really, really missing it, and then to bump, like, I'm recuperating from the surgery right now, so I'm dealing with that as well. That's adding a layer of depression. That kids are like, I want to go out and have a drink with somebody. It's like, yeah, but your leg. So do that quick excuse, and it's like, fuck. So everybody want to get out, but back last year when we filmed the late night show, you guys, West End Motel, thank you for being the late night fucking house band.
That was last year, really.
Yeah, a long time last year. But just doing that and being on stage and running through the motions of setting up a show and being...
It felt great.
Oh, man, it felt so good. And
it's like when you ask Kyle Sanders, like, how's it feel to get out? He goes, it feels good to be on a stage.
Yes, like, exactly.
You know, I mean, he knows more than anybody. You know what a great person he is. You know, he's like, man, it just feels good to be on a stage around people.
One thing for me is I was at the Star Bar the other night, and I noticed that I don't remember what a live show is like now. I can't remember it, so it's like it's a part of my memory that just...
I don't think I'm that far disconnected yet.
Yeah. It's just, I don't remember, because the last show I saw was Exorder and Overkill at Buckhead Theater.
Well, that's a good one.
And I don't remember that show.
Right.
I don't remember that live interaction.
The feeling.
1,000 people.
Yeah.
Completely packed out, and just that energy and everything. I
remember it really. I got so Quicksand play in New York, like right before it was pretty much shut down, and and that day was one so great, and then two, just like the whole energy. It was almost kind of like we had like calm before the storm. Like you almost knew it was they weren't going to be. You had 2 weeks left of things.
Right. I can't even remember what the last thing was that I attended. I don't know if it was something I was producing or something we went to. I can't even remember. I just know that it was.
Right.
The talent buyers, everybody was like, "Oh, holy shit! Looking at all your shows, you got to postpone and move around, and it's just unprecedented."
Yeah, that's weird because I remember like I travel a lot for my work, and I was in Nashville, and we were talking about like this year, and the guy's like, "You ready to be busy? You ready to do all this?" I'm like, "I'm ready to do all this," you know.
No,
that was like December, you know, and I think by February everything was just like you saw the writing, you know.
Yeah, coming down the line that things weren't going to be copacetic, but. Like I said, I can't help but every time I is try to look on the positive, be positive, and think of all the good things that people now have had time to create and dedicate themselves to, and not be full of shit. You had nothing but air and opportunity and time during this to create and hone in on these projects and different things. So here in the next couple months, a lot of these projects should be coming to life, and you should start seeing this shit. So I'm really excited and anxious to see that.
Yeah, that's awesome. And two, I know it sounds funny to say this, but like we all went into this like, you know, naive, and some people were actually just stupid. You know, a lot of just people, I'm not saying us, but just people just went things like blindly. And so a lot of people felt like blindsided, like they weren't prepared, they didn't do things right. So after going through that roughness of last year, whether it was losing shows or friends losing lives. I mean, just ultimate sadness, you know. I mean, it was a horrible year, really depressing, you know. So you start this year, and I'm like, well, I know what to expect. I know the worst to expect. So no matter what, it's going to be better than that. Like, you know. Yeah. So like, this has been a brilliant 2021 already. Like, I'm loving it. It's
already coming up. The good thing is most everybody that I know, at least, is back to work. Nobody's being told they can't go to work anymore, because that was. Right. That was really depressing. A lot of my friends and a lot of friends that own their own small businesses that have really tried hard to come up with something, and they're just watching their stuff go down in flames, and just the hurt I could see in their hearts and stuff. Because I know what it's like to try to make something.
You're like your lifelong dreams to open up a restaurant, and then you can't have people in it. Right. Like something like that.
But at the same time, then the landlord still needs his rent.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it was. Listen, here's to positivity and
exactly. So I'm Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt. Yep.
All right. We're back to being good, right?
Yeah. So that'll be my first fun, crazy edit tape together.
Yeah, man. Sorry, I'll never bring up Judas Priest again.
No, it's okay because we got it. It's gonna be fun.
And I love Judas Priest, and I think they're metal, but they're just a great rock and roll band.
So back to where we were though, in the middle of it. You said, hold on, damn, that's one of those.
Man, you can't.
You guys decided to make a country song, and it was going to be a duet.
Yeah.
Okay. So
but you know, like it's like those. You have these ideas, and they're heartfelt, but you're also laughing as you're doing it, like you were saying. You know? And there's lines in it that are funny, like I said, Ben Thrower came to us with the idea, and then it grew from there. But it's like, that's like, that line. It's like, you saw us playing at the Star Bar. You shook your ass, you raised your glass, you sang along to every tune. And it's like, the thing is, it's because all of us love old country. I think new country is shite.
It's great.
It's just like bad rap.
It's like just great, yeah.
But like a Waylon Jennings song or Merle Haggard or I love all that stuff.
The song nails all the feeling of country, and there's so many good lines. I love me and the boys talking about the album that's gonna come out sometime next year.
Yeah. And like the second line, was where I came in and I sing most of it, and I was helping Ben with ideas, and we knew when Brent was going to come in and sing, and it's just like, I was like, man, I could picture a jealous girlfriend being upset, saying, "I want to sing on this," and I'm like, don't try to hate. There's a couple of lines, there's a couple of songs I got you singing. You know,
Yeah.
I'll stand in the bedroom. You know, I whisper the words in the ear. You know, and it's like borderline, you know, sardonic and sarcastic, but it's heartfelt as well.
Well, and anybody that's ever been in a real band
Yeah.
and a relationship for
Yeah.
a serious amount of time coexisting,
Right.
gets it.
Right, you know, and so there's one line that says, you were dancing in the kitchen, you walked across the floor, you lit up the whole entire room, like, and that is just like straight from the gut and the heart. But then the end of the song, you're like, I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry.
I'm sorry, I'm not sorry.
It's like just it's sarcasm, you know, and Brent delivers it like he sounds like a beautiful, you know, a truck driver from the 70s. You know,
Oh, he's
like,
just
you know.
chewing it down.
Yeah.
He's got a really nice crying country voice.
He's got the. He's really good at doing like that drawl. The drawl.
He's got that twitty cry almost.
Yeah. Now, why did that happen?
Oh no!
Wait, the lights on. That's cool.
Yeah, they got you.
You caught me.
I promise this don't happen all the time.
Now I'm gonna go home smelling like beer.
You'll be fine. You'll be fine. How many albums does West End have?
Well, I met B. Hines in the early '90s when I moved in from New York. He had just moved from Alabama, and we became instant friends. And friends are all those guys, him and Troy and 4 Hour Fogger, Social Devastation guys, and I was in my bands, and we just became real good friends. And Brent and I started hanging out a lot, so we just started writing songs together. And most of them were just like me banging on a bucket, him on acoustic guitar, me hitting notes on a piano. So there's a lot of songs that have never seen the light of day that are not probably good, but they're very almost.
They were the beginnings,
very
though.
primal, beginning of that organic. You know how you saw the evolution of it.
Nice little trashy origin story there.
Yeah, so we released I think 7 or 8 of those songs digitally last year as just a self-titled. But then it grew, and basically Fiend Without a Face, like Steph and Troy, started playing with us, and we got Ben Davis on saxophone, Brian Kincherlow, Ben Thrower, like just wonderful players. And so we've really been 7 or 8
rounded out.
Yes, like, you know, and that was the idea. We wanted to sound like a Tom Waits band or a Zappa band, Frank Zappa band, like just a big weird band, you know. And so then we did Don't Shiver, You're a Winner, which was a split with Fiend Without a Face, I think in 2010, and then Only Time Can Tell, which was the Warner release in 2012, and then Bad With Names, Good With Faces was the last record. And the one we'll release in the spring, which fooling around with ideas right now with titles, but I think that'll be, so you figure 1, 2, 3. This will be our 4th like full length legitimate record. You know?
Awesome.
Yeah. It's a great, you know, experience always writing with Brent and just all those guys. They're insanely talented.
It's such an eclectic sounding band.
Yeah.
Like, whenever I listen to the things that I can find that y'all put out, because I don't have all the albums, I'm looking forward to getting.
I gotta bring you some.
Yes, I'm looking forward to getting some vinyls of them. Such an eclectic sound and cool, and your voice, the way you sing,
Thank you.
is what it's. I love it.
Thanks so much.
And it's to some people I can see definitely some people like not my cup of tea, because it's very Tom Waitsy. You know,
I appreciate that. Yeah.
But there's so much emotion and attitude, and then to watch you perform along with it is one of the most enjoyable things. There's a cut.
Awesome.
There's a cut in the late night show.
Yeah.
With I think it is Dead Witches, but you give a look at the camera while you're exactly that.
I saw that.
Oh man, but you look so fucking cool right there. And like your smile, the smile you throw at the camera was so your element.
You guys made it easy, thank you. But it really felt good for all of us to perform and do that. Yeah, I mean, I love that song. I love the riff that Brent plays. I love the sax line that Ben Davis plays. I love the drum. I just love playing with all those guys. I love that song.
Well, Ben and Brent do some super cool harmonies.
Yeah, they're trying to do like Thin Lizzy-esque riffs with saxophone to guitar.
It's so cool because even I was looking on the live stream when we released the show. Different folks were like, holy shit! Listen to those harmonies between that sax and guitar. People that didn't even know what they were watching were really. And those so hooky. It's been stuck in my head.
I know. My favorite thing was when we look at you and you're like, yes, you like the witch's day. Yeah. And I was like, man, sits down. That's cool. You know.
It felt so good, and I looked so forward to. Yeah, exactly. Everybody, these guys were all giving me hell about that. Well, they all made fun of me about it. My old lady.
Well, listen. We appreciate it. You know, we laugh about it because, like, you know, it's we do it because, like, the reasons you guys do what you do. You know, so, like, you know. People come up to us and be like, "Man, you guys should have some more fans." I'm like, "Yeah, that'd be awesome if we had more fans." We'll take.
We're just here to have a good time, bro.
Getting you guys as fans has been wonderful, you know. So we'll take every fan we can get.
Yeah, we're taking everything we can get, and trust me, we want whatever we can get. But we're gonna be here regardless, bro.
Yeah. And it's so weird because people don't. I know people don't mean anything bad by it, but it is funny their approach. Like they'll come up to me and be like, "Yeah, aren't you pissed that you're not bigger?" I'm like, listen, my job is to dream and write and just
keep on doing it. It's not my job to deal with that part.
If I spend time being angry about that, it's not going to be a good life, you know.
Yeah, I'm lucky to have Matt to remind me to keep my head out of the clouds and bring the madness down. I'm doing everything I can to be that positive person all the time.
That's it, man.
It's not always as easy as possible.
Oh yeah, that's another good lesson I heard this week. Some guy goes, because once you realize that life's not fair, it immediately gets easier. I was like, that's kind of true. I'll take that.
When you realize you're fucked.
Just stop being like complaining about it because it's not going anywhere.
No, it's not. I try to keep it up, but something like that is hard. But just doing things makes me happy. The pursuit. At times I'll get mad and think, oh man, this is why it's not working. This isn't doing that. Why are we even doing it? Then just the split second you think, well, fuck it, I'm wrapping it up. The deuces on this shit. Then you think, I just for a split second think, well, next Wednesday, what you gonna be doing then?
No, I know.
What are you gonna do to fill the time then? If it ain't dreaming and pushing for something and doing cool projects and working with your friends on cool shit, what else are you gonna be doing if you're not then?
I mean, the chase is, I try to live every day by, saying less and learning more from other people, and the chase is part of it.
Yeah, well, that's that whole deal. Surround yourself with more movers and shakers and people. I seen post a guy that we've done a few shoots with, Josh Kirk Films. Shout out, he's really good DP that's coming out of Atlanta area right now.
Right.
He's like, this is the year that I'm only going to be surrounding myself with people that are doing it and not people that are talking about it. And he's like, I'm sick of being around people that are talking about it instead of people that are doing it.
A quote that I go by internally is, you can do things and make things happen, or you can make excuses. Not both.
That's true.
Yeah.
And the pandemic has been good. I mean, just from seeing like our, this camaraderie and this community of friends that we have of similar-minded people who, are arts and music. It seems like everyone's been real busy doing good shit, which I love that.
Yeah, I have a few friends that I've been pushing and busting their balls and be like, yeah, you're being one of those talkers. You're being one of those talkers. You've had a lot of time.
Yeah,
you know who I'm talking to.
And even the obstacles. Even the obstacles are all right, man. I have a friend, Derek Beckles. He's a comedian and writer, and he grew up in Canada, the early scene of the Vice guys,
Right.
But I don't think he got to enjoy a lot of the success that they did, whatever, But he's funny. He's doing all right. He writes for the Eric Andre show now. But they used to party and skateboard. They were kids doing all that shit in Canada. And I remember him telling me when I first moved back to New York in 2010, 2011, he's like, man, our area, we grew up, worst fucking potholes. Streets are a mess, skateboarding, this and that, whatever. We were always complaining. And then one day, someone paved all those streets, and we missed those potholes.
You fucking missed it.
He's like, so even my struggles to get where I want to be as an artist, he goes, I'm really appreciating it. I love all of it.
Well, those things. I don't know if it was a good thing to acknowledge early on? Going back to like saying Legion, I would acknowledge things in my writing and try to achieve things, and let's do this. But also would acknowledge that, man, all the people that I looked up to sure did have some strife and some hurt and some problems. And stupidly as a kid, I remember thinking, almost looking forward to, like, I'm looking forward to getting my hurt and my shit over with. Not looking forward to experience it, but getting it over with so I can write and experience and create some really good art. But then it's like, after going through shit, and you realize, like, yeah, it did take you that to become what you are, but fuck, it's not nearly as romantic on the other side.
Yeah, and the other thing is like, what makes you think that one person or group that you look up to, what you should look up to if you like what they represent and what they put out, you know, what makes you think they had any say in the outcome, how it was going to come? They might have planned on doing something completely different, but it turned out this way, and they said, this is what I got, I'm going to go with it.
Life doesn't give a fuck about your plans. That's exactly.
You know, I mean, like, John Favreau wanted to be, you know, fucking the next Woody Allen, you know, and they said, you're chubby and not good looking. Meanwhile, he's directing Iron Man. He's doing all right. You know, I mean, I've heard him in interviews. He's a Queens kid. I'm a Queens kid, you know. Very good interviews, by the way, if you ever listen to him.
No, yeah, I've seen tons of stuff. I love his journey, too.
Very smart guy, you know.
I just thought he did the fucking Lion King. He's
he's a very smart guy, but he said several times, he's like, trust me, he goes, if you know what I wanted to do and where I'm at are two different things, but I'm doing very well, no complaints. He's like, but I had to have an open mind. I had to handle the door getting shut in my face. I had to handle rejection. I had to handle failure. But then I realized, this door keeps slamming, this window keeps slamming, but I'm looking this way. When I look 3 inches left, 2 other windows just opened, you know.
That's been, you know, if you pay attention to anybody that's successful, that's the deal, is you acknowledge that life's tough. And you got to keep rolling with it, and then and acknowledge that life doesn't care about your plans. And just keep hustling, keep your head above water.
And that's why I do the things that I do. Brent's a great example of that for me. I love how busy he stays. He plays with all these people. Just shows you he can be a comedian. He's so funny. Great artist, talented dude. And like I do my own version of that. Like, you know, I mean. You know, I put out like 8 books of poetry. You know, I used to be scared of anything to do with acting because I just didn't relate to it. And I was like, no, I'm a writer. I give people my heart. Actors want to be something they're not.
They're faking. I'm giving you everything.
But I admit now I was closed-minded with it. And now friends have asked me to do stuff, and I'm doing stuff with people. I'm having fun with it. And it's also, the world is shut down. So we got to do what we got to do to make these things happen. So I'm basically open-minded to almost anything now.
So you're the yes man.
I won't say no to anything. Actually, some guy came up to me in the street like a few months ago. He's like, yo, you should be a Santa Claus. I was like, maybe I will be.
My grandfather was a Santa Claus. Was a premier Santa Claus for years. Full beard, year-round hair.
I was like, I could, you know, shave and start growing this like mid-October, and it'll be down to here by Christmas.
Dude,
Diet white, it's turning gray already, you know, so
that's
unbelievable,
That's the story. That's what they say. That's the stress, but it has to be because I'm 35 and already getting gray as hell.
You look beautiful.
Oh, baby.
I turned 50. Luckily, I know I'm in better shape and feeling better in my heart, and my brain, and my muscles than I did for 10 or 15 years because I didn't take that good care of myself. I kind of didn't like myself for a long time, and now I'm making up for lost time.
Well, you seem like a man that's a happy guy.
Pretty happy these days.
From the outside looking in.
I mean, I've battled depression big time.
Who doesn't?
But I'm doing great. You know?
It seems that you love deeply. You are loved deeply, and I'm just glad to be here. Keep
Thanks
on being
part.
Yeah.
My dad used to say, "Never do anything half-assed. Takes twice as long to fix it." You know, so it's like, if I'm gonna love you, I'm gonna love you. Actually, I don't think I hate anybody, but if I'm not gonna like you, I'm not gonna like. Then I just choose to have somebody toxic not in my life. That's kind of where I'm at. I just try to have good, beautiful people, creative people in my life. If someone's not good for me, which that happens, I'm sure you have all kinds of people who want to be close to you. You realize it's good, and I just say, man, listen, I don't really see us working on anything right now.
Yeah,
maybe you're not good for me right now. You know,
well, it has to go. But I know you're a busy man. I know you got to get out in here and do some other things.
Yeah, man.
Any socials you want to throw out where people can check you out, check West End out?
Yeah, West End Motel Band on Instagram. You know, I'm Tom Cheshire Singers, but if I'm in town, come say hey. Thank you guys for having me. Sid and Matt, West End's going to be putting out a few more singles, putting out, a record in the spring. I still write with one of my oldest friends, Marlo Sanchez, under the name All Night Drug Prowling Wolves. And if I'm going to be here this year, I think we're going to try to put out a new record. And just, every day, man, let's get vaccinated, and we'll see you all in the pit.
That's it. We'll see you in the fucking pit.
Thank you very much.
Tom
Cheers.
Cheshire, everybody.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Love. All right, how we do?
We did great.
Thank you, man.